Here.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to call on Commissioner Trent North, District 1, for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Kevin Jackson, District 5.
Please join me as we go to the throne. Most blessed and all-wise Father, we come just to give you the honor, praise, and the glory. As always, we thank you for the men and women that are up here. We thank you for this great community of Carroll County. Father, we thank you for Kevin Jackson specifically, for the time he served as a commissioner, diligently representing you and his constituent. Our prayer is that as he embarks upon new journeys in his personal and professional career, that you continue to bless him, be a guidance for him, and just be there for him. As always, we thank you for the men and women who died or who represent democracy at home as well as abroad. These prayers we ask in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Commissioners. Next item on the agenda is item 5, approval of the agenda. We'll look for a motion from the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend the agenda to add a resolution for the expenditure of funds from SPLOSH from District 1.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Make note, we'll make that'll be item 9.6, property under economic development with resolution.
And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Absolutely. Item number 6, we have a motion.
Agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion for the work session minutes and commission minute meetings? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Next item on the agenda, we have a special presentation. I think we've got a lot of guests here tonight. I'd like to call first on head coach Dave McKenna. If you'd like to come front, and I think you've got staff with you tonight. If they'd like to come and line up behind you, front row, if y'all make room for them, if the whole team would come forward. You're going to be recognized.
While they're getting ordered, somebody was supposed to bring me a ring.
They have not received theirs yet, Commissioner North.
Okay, I know we had a conversation, right, ladies?
It's my district.
Coach McKenna, if you'd come front to the podium there. Carroll County, Georgia proclamation, special day here for the Lady Lions 2016 GHSA State 4A Championship.
Yay!
That sounds good. And now we're going to read the proclamation. Whereas it took 5 consecutive trips to the GHSA Softball State Championships for the Central High School Lady Lions softball team to emerge from Columbus, the last team standing, on Saturday, October 29th, 2016, with the first ever 4A state title. And whereas the hard work, dedication, sportsmanship, talent, and exceptional tight-knit team chemistry of the 2016 Lady Lions enabled these athletes to bring home the title and celebrate a well-deserved state championship with an overall record of 30-6 this season. And whereas the best 8 teams in the state played a 3-day double elimination tournament, which the Lady Lions played on an undefeated straight games, allowing only 1 run and 2 hits during the entire 3-day stretch. And whereas the 2016 Lady Lions softball team included Raise your hand as I call your name. Seniors, Maddie Dodson. Dad works for us, and God's goddaughter of
Yes.
Commissioner Lee and Ann.
Yes.
Emily Williams. Kayla Sales. And Logan North.
That's a pretty last name.
And now the underclassmen. The bar has been set high. Abby Cook. Parents work with us. Lucy Grace McKenzie. Joni Cook. Faith Bennett. Micah Harris. Peyton Groves. Haley Faring. Madison Donnelly. Jody Garner. Shirley Sharp. Addie Lyle. And Adrian Wood. And whereas head coach Dave McKenna and the entire coaching staff, team member parents, faculty, and student body at Central High School were integral in the guiding the team to victory through their unwavering support. Now therefore, in honor and appreciation for the accomplishments of the 2016 Lady Lions softball team and the dedication and support of their coaches and parents, I, Marty W. Smith, Chairman of the Carroll County Board, along with the Board of Commissioners, do hereby congratulate the 2016 Lady Lions softball team on its 2016 GHSA 4A state championship. Congratulations. Coach McKenna, I'm going to walk around and present you this right here. The rest of the staff, commission board is going to come down. If you can get your team together, we're going to get a photo of everybody. I think we're going to try getting on top, and you girls get in here all you can. We've got individual proclamations for every one of the team members.
Okay, that's for him, okay. I was like, you want this right?
That's fine. Whatever you, they can get up there with you too. If they're not scared, that's right.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to leave it.
Oh, helping him now.
Oh, Coach, I thought they'd stay for our meeting. Lucky it's a school night. Go Lions. Our next presentation, under item 7, is to take a time of pause and say thank you to Commissioner Kevin Jackson. A lot of folks were able to come by earlier for a little get-together, and we appreciate that. We appreciate all the hard work that went into it. But Kevin, we know that you've left a fingerprint on a lot of things. You're passionate about the parks, the rec, NRA, Wolf Creek, way back when I met you. There was some guy trying to take care of rural Carroll County. The Chattahoochee River, the waterway that I know you're not going to let us continue to try getting a new designation on. The local Republican Party, many campaigns that you've served on, and like I say, just what you've done for rural Carroll County and Holden White. So in grateful appreciation to Kevin G. Jackson for 8 years of dedicated and loyal service to the citizens of Carroll County through distinctive and outstanding leadership as a member of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, District 5, 2009 to 2016, Mr. Kevin Jackson. Y'all squeeze in here.
I think I should stand next to you.
I think you should too, Trent.
We try to this is symbolic of the world coming together.
I always wondered what it felt like back here.
We'll take a picture one day that way so Gerald sees what he looks like. And like, I just know he's looking with the big eye or not. That's pretty.
At this time, if the board has any comments, now's the time to make them.
I said it all with my game.
Thank you.
Don't miss you, big guy.
Yep.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
Your perspective has been beneficial to the board, beneficial to the county. Mr. Powell doesn't recognize it, but he has some legal shoes to follow. You've done a great job of representing your constituency and advocating for Carroll County and going above and beyond.
We
Thank you.
love you, man.
Don't miss you.
We're going hunting next Saturday.
Is he gonna do your makeup too?
Oh, good Wayne.
Good luck.
Well, I appreciate it. 8 years is a long time, and I've met a lot of friends. There'll be friends from now on. I mean, if you go back 8 years and all the people I've dealt with and I met some of the greatest, people that really helped me to become a better commissioner. Really, when you sign up to do something like this, I thought I knew, what it would be like, but I did not. So I know with this board and with the prior board and with many of the department heads and attorneys, over the years, I know how much of a pain I have been at times. I don't mind asking the tough questions, and I hadn't always cared, really, what the effects of, some of the questions I asked, the tough questions or whatever. But I did feel like it's my job. But I know I was a pain in the rear, especially the last, more so in the last board and some of those board members. But I did what I thought was right. I did what I thought that the people sent me up here to do, and that's not always easy, taking a stand. So, but I want the people of District 5 to know that that was the very best of Kevin Jackson. I will tell you that. That was as much as I had, and I appreciate the experience. I really did, and I appreciate all of y'all.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Lee Powers has big shoes to fill there. All right, this time we'll move to item 8, public comments. During the public comments, it's a chance for you to approach the board, the citizens. At this time, we typically do not have an answer. It gives us a chance to research you. If it's a topic that we can figure out, we will assign you to the attorney or to a department head. If not, we'll get your name and number, and obviously we will report back to you and get with you. At this time on the sign-up sheet, Mr. Cook, please come to the podium and tell your name and address.
I'm C.A. Cook, 548 Happy Hill Road, Carrollton, Georgia. Been there 58 years in the same place. But I'm here as an advocate for the older people. I have never seen a budget in Carroll County. I'm not saying there hadn't been one, but I've never seen nothing in the budget for the older generation. I'm not against a lot of this other stuff, but I think there's a priority time coming. It's like the parks and the ball fields. What percentage of the county participates in that? And what percentage of the county participates in the road every day? I don't know of a family in my community that don't use the road every day. And very few percent points would be that goes to the park. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against them having parks and things. But I think it's time that something was done. The older population, look around in here. How many teenagers do you see stay? I know Michelle tried to get up there with them, but she couldn't pass.
She tried.
But my concern is the older generation is growing faster than any of them.
Yes, sir.
And I know, long as you spend the money, you're going to always say, we ain't got the money. If I spend everything I got for one thing, I ain't got the money to do something else. So I would like to see the county do something down the road for the older generation. I won't be here. It won't benefit me. I'm not doing it for myself because I know I won't be here. But I would like to see it for the future generation. And I thank you for anything you can do for the elderly people of the county.
And we always thank you, Mr. Cook. Mr. Jerry Stober.
My name is Jerry Stober. I live at 1071 Lowell Road. What I want to talk to you about today is part of what you're going to talk about under item 9. It's McIntosh Reserve. I'm a member of the Friends of McIntosh Board of Directors, but I'm not speaking for them tonight. I'm simply here to give you some information. Our public service is focused on holding walk and talks in McIntosh Park and occasionally in Moore's Bridge. We aim to inform folks about historical and environmental assets in their parks. We tend to focus on these parks because they are both on the river, which is attracting a rapidly growing recreational use. We usually schedule walk and talks on the third Saturday of every month, except in January and February. Our board has discussed the need for an enclosed meeting room for the winter months and a place where visual aids would be more effective. An enclosed meeting room would assist many other groups and stimulate park use year-round. It would also probably bring more revenue to McIntosh Park. We reviewed the new bathroom facility at the Little Tallapoosa that's just been built and had an architect develop a design concept including the bathroom facility with meeting room and open patio, which is shown in a drawing that I'm going to give you. We would like to work with the county on achieving an enclosed meeting space that would accommodate about 75 people at McIntosh. And these would probably be older folks too. This would be a new venture for Friends of McIntosh Reserve, but we envision the prospect of developing a public-private partnership to help fund all or part of the cost of the enclosed meeting facility. And we'd like to have some indication in the near future whether it's worth our trouble to try to find private money to work with the county so that we could get this built. And we'd appreciate it if you'd give us a heads up sometime down the way here so that we could get started on this project the first of the year. And here's some copies of the design concept. I think there's enough for everybody. And thank you.
Mr. Stober, thank you, and we will have someone follow up.
Can we comment on that at all? Just to add to what Jerry presented, it's something that's been talked about in the past. And I know we'll be voting tonight on, refurbishing some bathrooms down there, but you had to experience that. That's not an upgrade. That was, what we're voting on tonight was an absolute necessary. There were holes in walls, tile and toilets about to fall off the wall. So, and, we appreciate that down there. But this is something that we talked about. If you'll remember the board, we struggled with fees for a long time. And one of the things I heard from many commissioners was, Kevin, if we can put the fee structure into where we charge the citizens down there, we will bring that part up to where all the rest of the park's up. And it's not. This is a start tonight, but it's not. And I challenge you, if you don't agree with that, go down there and look, and then ride out to one of the newer parks. So I'd just like to add to that. We are charging for the first time down there now.
Mr. Chairman, this isn't from the fine commissioner for District 5. This is for his future replacement. During public comments, we normally don't speak because we like him. We are allowing him. Please don't think you're going to have that luxury when you're up here. I just wanted to point that out.
Truth. Thank you. That was it for the sign-up sheet for public comments. At this time, we're going to move into the agenda of item number 9 under the financial session. We're going to call on the financial recap from Lehman Stevens, Finance Director.
All right, thank you. I'm going to give you the financial highlights for October 2016. The general fund revenues were $6 million.
Hey, Lehman. Yeah.
Okay. $6,030,000. The October expenditures from the general fund were $4,020,000. That gives us year-to-date revenue of $9,699,000, which is 19.26% of the budget, and the year-to-date expenditures total $14,643,000, which is 29.15% of the budget. The total general fund cash on October 31st was $5,399,000. And in the 2008 SPLOS fund, the October expenditures were $67,718, making the year-to-date expenditures total $186,858. And this brings the cash balance of the 2008 SPLOS fund to $1,542,831. In the 2013 SPLOS fund, our October expenditures totaled $666,870, and we transferred $1,282,740 to the debt service fund. The year-to-date expenditures for the 2013 SPLOS fund totaled $4,229,572, and total transfers to the debt service fund of $4,006,768. The cash spendable balance in the 2013 SPLOS fund is $19,211,000, and the cash in the 2013 debt service is $4,010,321.
Thank you. Any questions for Lehman? All right, seeing none, we'll go to item 9.2. We'll call on Director of Public Works, Mr. Charles Pope.
Thank you, Chairman, Board of Commissioners. What we talked about at the work session was the widening of Oak Mountain Road, 2.39 miles. The low bidder was Bartow Paving at $492,870. But John and I have been talking to Bartow Paving, and we think we would be good if we awarded this to Bartow paving not to exceed more than 450, then I think would be okay.
And that was the change in all the erosion control and different
That's
measures?
correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve
Second.
Well, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
let me finish that. Making a motion to approve, Bartow paving for 400, not to exceed $450,000.
Not to exceed 450.
Not to exceed $450,000.
That's what my second was for.
Okay. We have a motion and a second now. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll just have one question, Charles.
Yeah.
Why are we not self-performing that this time?
During the long summer, the work period, of course, we was trying to get the Moores Bridge finished, the Cruise Road paving, and of course, the summer lasted long, and if we'd have waited right up to the last minute, we wouldn't have been able to bid it out. Because this has got to be awarded by December 31, or we would lose the 370,000.
Gotcha. So it's just workload?
Yes,
I got
yes.
you.
And the additional funding.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Next, we'll go on to item 9.3 and 9.4. We'll get interim parks director Ben Skipper to come and present on both items. You can do them one at a time.
Sure, Chairman. The first one is John Tanner Park sign, if I'm correct on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
What we would like to do is our other two parks, McIntosh Park, Little Tallapoosa Park, and the Welcome to Carroll County signs at the north and south end of the county all match. And what we're proposing before the board is to build another sign identical to that, identifying John Tanner Park at Highway 16. Our proposal would be we want to put the sign in the center of the road, and Public Works would add 8 foot of asphalt to either side of the road, and it would look like Little Tallapoosa Park. The reason we're doing that is due to the arc in Highway 16. If we put it going north, you won't see the sign coming from Mount Zion, and vice versa. If the sign is on the south side of the street, you wouldn't see it coming from Carrollton. So what we're proposing is to put the sign in the middle of the road, add 8 foot of asphalt to either side to make the lanes up. We already have received approval from the Georgia Department of Transportation to complete this work.
On behalf of District 6 Commissioner George Chambers, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Moving to McIntosh Park, what we have is currently bathrooms there that's already been discussed tonight that is in just, they've exceeded their time. They're worn out, and due to rot being adjacent to the river, there's a lot of humidity. So we have some rotten door jambs, some rotten seals, some plumbing needs to be repaired. And with all things in the park, we do have vandalism. You know, we have holes knocked in the wall that need repairing. But all 4 bathrooms that we have here is the splash pad, bathrooms at the splash pad, the ranger station, Pavilion 2 and Pavilion 3, and all of these cost estimates are worst case scenarios before the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you,
Mr.
Commissioners,
Skipper.
and we'll get started right away.
Item 9.5, we'll call on to Parks Director, Recreation Director, Vince Collins.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask the board to move forward in purchasing 6 new school boards from Electromat Company to replace the ones that are at the Carroll County Complex.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is item, that we amended the agenda to item 9.6, property under economic development, a resolution. Call on Commissioner North and Stacy Blackman.
Board, Commissioners, this resolution is friendly to Carroll County, but specifically to District 1. The state of Georgia is requiring GNETs, which is nothing but a fancy word for Georgia Network for Educational and Therapeutic Support Services, to build a brand new facility. The facility houses about 42 students. The majority of those students reside in Carroll County. It's a collaborative between Heard County, Carroll County School System, and Carrollton City School System. The Georgia Department of Education mandated that the program must move immediately out of its current location, which is off of Alabama Street. There are 26 employees involved. The program could move to Heard County or go anywhere else. Working with our attorney, Stacy, working with Carroll County School System, working with Carrollton City School System and Heard County School System, we have found a facility to help keep the jobs in Carroll County, and it is off of HM Fulbright. And I am recommending that we use $150,000 about SPLOST funds pursuant to an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Carrollton to buy out the lease and the right of ownership or the covenants of the property located at 151 Tom Reed Drive. So my recommendation is that we use $150 of SPLOST dollars from economic development to support this endeavor.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board now?
Well, it's for $150,000 and no offense, but is that out?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Commissioner North. Next, we'll be moving into item 10. We'll be in the business session. We'll start with the appointments. Appointment 10.1 is elections and registration. I'll make the motion. Mr. James Gamble has agreed to serve again. Mr. Seth Hobson is willing to come on in the replacement of an unexpired term of Andrew Lovern.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Item 10.2 is appointment to the Civil Service, and item point 10.3. We're going to call on HR Director Ann Lee.
Thank you, Chairman and District Commissioners. The first one is, can you hear me? Thank you. The first one is a reappointment of Artagus Newell to the Civil Service. The Civil Service Board was created back in 2001, and so I'm asking you tonight to reappoint Artagus Newell.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? And seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Since you were sitting here, Artagus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is for the Civil Service Board. It is also composed of 5 members. Jim Ballinger has been filling post 1, and his term expires December 31st. Post 1 is an elected position that is elected by the elected officials, which include all of you, the sheriff, the tax commissioner, the probate judge, and who am I missing? Clerk of court. I have spoken to all of them, and they are okay with reappointing Mr. Ballinger, so I'm asking you tonight to reappoint Mr. Ballinger to post 1.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All
Thank
those
you.
opposed? Thank you, Ann. Item 10.4 is appointments to the Health Board. We have Laura Larson and Cindy Barge that has agreed to serve again.
Make a motion, we reappoint both.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next is item 10.5, appointments to the Water Authority. These are by districts 1, 5, and 6, and an at-large. At-large is appointed by myself, and Aaron McCorder has agreed to serve, so I will put him up. 1, 5, and 6.
Do we need to do them separately, or?
We can do them as a group if everybody agrees.
I'm gonna table mine.
Okay, for
that-
5.
That'll be Barry Huff, but I've spoken with incoming commissioner, and he'd like to do those honors at the next
Okay.
meeting, so I can table him, and
Table.
he can actually still serve until next
Excellent.
month.
Table number 5, okay. George is not here for 6. We will table.
This is, go ahead.
Can we table number 1, please?
We can. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and make my nomination. I'll make the motion for Aaron McCorder to serve again. My
Second.
motion. We have a second. Any discussion?
One thing that you've heard me say about this particular appointment and the timing of it, and I've spoke with our clerk a couple of times of it, it doesn't seem like a big deal. This is probably one of our biggest appointments that we've got to go on the Water Authority, and that we do ourselves as each. The timing of this, I don't know, I know it was legislation that did it, but it can be tweaked and changed. Really, and it was awkward when I took this seat originally 8 years ago, and the month before, whom I was replacing put a person on the board that I didn't want, and it was just awkward and not real clean, because I took them right back off the following month. This really needs to occur. January the 1st. It really does, in all fairness. But I don't know if that's something y'all could work on down the road.
That'll be, we will take note there. Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Not. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Item 10.6, community action for improvement.
I'd like to make the, motion to nominate Trent.
Second.
They're not recording it.
Make the motion to nominate Trent North.
Trent who?
Trent North, sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board?
I just want to say, we did this last month. It's just, it had to be,
He filled
he filled
unexpired.
an unexpired term, that's why.
We have motion, second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Gotcha.
Had to go on record.
That's my man.
Next item, 10.7, appointment to Joint Development Authority. Tim Warren has agreed to serve again as liaison from the Development Authority. I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Next item, 10.8, appointment to Region 6. This is where Judge Betty Kaysen has Salita Cavender that is willing to serve, and has made that, and I will make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Julie Shabaro is my person, and so, can we table this till I talk to these people here? I didn't do that, so I need to talk to the judge, and, is that okay?
Not a problem there. Yeah, just make, you're
I'd like
making
to
that
make
as
a
a motion.
motion to table.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Item 10.9, appointment to the Three Rivers. Donna Lackey has agreed to do that again and does represent us there. I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board?
I'd like to make a motion for Trent North.
not happen.
Will not happen, and I think he is denial. I have a motion for Donald Lackey to serve and represent. Do we have a second?
To set the record, I was appointed my first commissioners meeting for 3 years, and if the media wasn't here, I would tell you I never made it to a single meeting. But since they're here, I'm not going to volunteer their information.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And all those opposed? Everybody wanted discussion. Thank you. Item 1010, appointment to West Georgia Regional Airport. I talked to Mayor Lester Harmon. He's agreed to serve. He is current chairman of that board. We have a motion
Make a motion.
and a second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Ten and 11, MOU firefighter grant. We'll call on Fire Rescue Chief Scott Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. What I'm requesting is to allow the chairman to sign a memorandum of understanding between Carroll County, Haralson County, Heard County, and the Fairfield Property Owners Association for the purpose of a Assistance to Firefighters grant to purchase new self-contained breathing apparatus for all 4 jurisdictions.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none from the board. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Chief. Item 1012, we'll call on Stacy Blackman, County Attorney for Georgia State Patrol, just to do a simplified MOU.
This is an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Villa Rica where they agreed to contribute $191,500 to finish out the State Patrol building on Highway 61. And we've got the list on page 2 of the items that they'll contribute to.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Stacy. Business session is finished. We'll be moving into item 11 on the agenda, the zoning session. We'll call on zoning administrator, Artagus Newell.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Just very briefly before I get into the items, I'll get into the standards for consideration. Number 1, whether the zoning proposal will permit a use that is suitable in view of the use and development of adjacent and nearby property. Whether the zoning proposal will adversely affect the existing use or usability of adjacent or nearby property. Whether the zoning proposal will result in a use which will or could cause an excessive or burdensome use of existing streets, transportation facilities, utilities, or schools. Whether the zoning proposal is in conformity with the policy and intent of the land use plan. And finally, whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property which give supporting grounds for either approval or disapproval of the zoning proposal. With that, Mr. Chairman, the first item for consideration is for Dennis and Rachel Perrin's request for a variance and conditional use to divide a 5.35 acre parcel. This is at the intersection of Georgia Highway 166 East and Jones Dairy Road, Carrollton. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Okay, we'll call on first applicant. Policies and procedures real quick. The applicant or proponent will have 10 minutes to express their evidence and opinions. Those opposed will have the same 10 minutes, and then both potential sides, applicant and opposed zonings, to the zonings will also have 5 minutes of rebuttal if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm Dennis, and this is my wife, Rachel Perrin. We live at 2500 Northview Drive, Austell, Georgia, Cobb County. We are here to get the property that we have owned for a number of years for 5.35 acres. We have already deeded 10 foot on each side of the road. Family members have for future, get the road paved. That's been done last year, before last. So it reduced it from 5.5 to 5.35 acres. We're going to subdivide it into 2 lots to give my daughter Patty and Paul Allen 2.65 acres. We will keep 2.65 acres. The property would be surveyed by Mr. Henry McBrayer. We own or family members own the 135 acres adjacent to this property where my wife was born and raised. That's about it.
All righty, anybody else here as a proponent? If not, I'll ask for item number 1 under zoning. Is there anyone here in opposition? Going on record second time, anyone in opposition? Hearing none. Now we'll open up any questions from the board. Seeing not, we'll look for a motion.
This is for you and your daughter,
Yes.
right? One of the things that I'm gonna attach to the zoning is because you are dropping so far below the agricultural. I mean, you're almost half as, normally it's 4 acres per house, and you're asking for a variance. One of the things I'm gonna attach on there, your land will stay agricultural, which along, it's not changing to R1 or R2 or any of that. One of the things I'm gonna remove are some of the agricultural activities that are normally allowed on, which it really doesn't make sense, but it can protect down the road, such as commercial poultry, livestock. I mean, you're just shrinking it down so far under agricultural that I'm gonna ask the board to remove, in the county zoning, under agricultural 8.1, that'll be permit B, permitted uses B, which agricultural, dairy, and commercial poultry and livestock, building of livestock houses for fowls or processing products not to be closer than 200 foot to any property line. Normally, that'd be fine if you had 4 acres, but you're cutting it almost in half. There's a whole lot of others that they can leave on there, but I can see where that would cause problems down the road. And that's in the heart of some very agricultural farmland there, so.
You're doing that as a motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do I need to repeat that? In the zonings, here, let me give you this. This will make it easier. Okay.
It's a motion to not allow permitted use
In
8.1.
B, right.
Mike.
Hey, Susan, if y'all turn that mic on, we cannot hear her.
That is, so with the motion, we would delete the permitted use under agriculture, which is 1B, commercial forest, agriculture, dairying, poultry and livestock, raising, provided that buildings used for housing fowls or animals or processing products not be located closer than 200 feet to any property line. So that use would no longer be permitted.
Right. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the cows are on the 111 acres next to it anyway.
Right.
My sister and me own the 111 acres that have the cow.
Okay.
Okay.
So there wouldn't be no livestock up there.
Right. You're not gonna build any commercial poultry houses. That's what I'm on 2 acres. So I'm just protecting things down the road.
Absolutely. We have a motion from the board. Look for a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Now any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ortegas?
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is for D. Larry Tucker's request for variance and conditional use to divide a 5-acre parcel into 2 lots. This is located off Lovern Road in Carrollton. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Good evening, I'm Larry Tucker. My address is 5612 Stewart Woods Drive in Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I look forward to being a resident of Carroll County in the very near future if it works out well for us. We have the intention of, we purchased actually 5.36 acres of land. It's wooded acreage on Lovern Road surrounded by pasture land. And what we'd like to do is to divide it. It's pretty much a square piece of property with 500 feet of road frontage. We'd like to divide it right down the middle and sell the other half to my sister and brother-in-law, and for their intention is to build a conventional build homes. We want to go back in there and each of us just build a nice little home back in the woods and enjoy that time together. So we appreciate your consideration for that.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Anybody else here in support? Seeing none, we'll ask. To this conditional use, is there anyone here in opposition of this conditional use request? Second request, any opposition? Seeing not, we'll look for motion from the board.
On behalf of Commissioner Chambers, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Now, any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Welcome to Carroll County.
Mr. Chairman, the next item we have is consideration of Benjamin and Joyce Merrill's request for a variance and conditional use to divide an existing house in 1.2 to 1.5 acres from a 31.5 acre parcel. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we're here today to try to get a variance and a conditional use to just divide our land because we're not able to take care of it anymore, and we just want to sell the most of it and keep our house in 1.32 acres. Is what we'll have left on the variance. But we've already got the land sold, all but 4 acres, but we need a variance so they can buy the rest.
Okay.
But anyway, that's what we're here for today, trying to get a variance.
Anyone in here as a proponent?
No.
If not, we'll ask, is there any opposition to this conditional use by the Merrills? Asking for a second time, anyone in opposition? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion from the board.
Make the motion to accept the conditional use by the Merrills.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none from the board, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the last item is a conditional use permit and variance permit request for a new telecommunications structure, a cell tower. This is at 1420 Northside Drive, Carrollton. Mr. Chairman, this request has a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is David Kirk with the law firm of Troutman Sanders here on behalf of the applicant. You should have a handout. I promise I'm not going to read every word of it to you because I know I'm at the end of the agenda here. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the project and its need. If you could flip to that second page, gives you a quick overview of the project. It would be a 199-foot total height monopole, including the lightning rod. In accordance with the requirements of your ordinance, it would accommodate Verizon Wireless and 3 other carriers. It's located on a 69-acre parcel, so it meets all the setbacks that are set forth in your ordinance. In fact, it's almost 450 feet from Highway 113, and this would address documented needs that Verizon has, both for coverage and capacity in the area. And if you flip to the third sheet, let me put our request in a broad context. Right now, about 50% of households nationwide rely entirely on wireless devices for their personal, their business, and their emergency communication needs. I was looking it up the other day, and the first iPhone was actually introduced in 2007. So in roughly 10 years' time, phones like this have gone from a luxury to a necessity, and they're really part of everyday life. Folks use them for business, folks use them for personal communication, and increasingly use them for emergency. In fact, the FCC estimates about 70% of 911 calls are made on wireless devices. So they're really part of everyday life, and a lot of everything, other things in everyday life, like the power switch and the roads, you expect them to work all the time. And just as roads are a necessary part of transportation infrastructure and power lines and power poles are a necessary part of electrical infrastructure, towers such as the one requested tonight have become a necessary part of your communications infrastructure. If you flip to the fourth slide, which is the multicolored slide, and look specifically at the site, you can see a yellow patch in the middle. That's part of the purpose of this facility is to fill that gap in service. Verizon's on 6 surrounding sites, which provide good service in those areas as designated by the green. If you flip the next page, you can see how this particular facility will help with the coverage and shows a dramatic improvement in the coverage there. Also, if you could note, if you go to the next slide, there is a site called the Carrollton site. That's the slide that has blue and green in it. One sector of that site is overloaded, and part of the other part of the need for this facility is to offload, essentially to take some of the traffic, the wireless traffic from that sector, and serve it through this new point of service. We did look at the existing tower that's at the Carroll EMC site about 3/4 of a mile south of this location, and Verizon's engineers concluded it was just too far south. And if you look on that same slide, you'll see some areas circled in yellow. Those are the areas that still would not be served adequately as far as capacity with the Carroll EMC. So the site that we've identified is the one we really need. You flip to the next page, I have a site plan overlaid on an aerial map. As I said, the site's about 450 feet away from the Highway 113 frontage. It's about 600 feet from the property lines to the south. Because it is under 200 feet in elevation, there's no need for lighting on the tower. And it's also designed to withstand a substantial ice and wind load. In fact, one of the things we submitted was an engineering letter that talks about what we call the failure characteristics of a facility like this. If the ice and wind loads exceeded not only the design factor, but 25% above that design, the failure would essentially be a bending of the tower, much like your microphones there would bend rather than the entire tower collapse. The next series of photos, and I won't go through each of them, but we're required to submit what are called photo simulations of the tower from specific distances, and those you can go through those at your leisure. In some cases you can see it, in some cases you can't. But in conclusion, I respectfully submit this is a good location. It meets the demonstrated need of Verizon with that additional height that we're requesting. It meets your setbacks. In fact, it meets all the other requirements of your ordinance. As Mr. Newell noted, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this facility with no conditions. So I respectfully request that you accept the Planning Commission's recommendation in this matter and approve the conditional use permit and variance. Mr. Chairman, that completes my prepared remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone else here as a proponent? Seeing none, we're going to ask on the last item on the agenda under the zoning session, is there any opposition here tonight for this request? Second request, any opposition to this request? Seeing none, now we'll look for a motion from the board.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor to adjourn? All those opposed? Thank you.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye-bye.